What is going on, wonderful people? So today we're going to look at Windows 8, a very confusing UI to most, but as you'll find, going through the video, it's not really that confusing. It's just a little different. So there are a few key things you need to know about Windows 8, and I'll tackle the video according to those five main things, or four, give or take. So the first is the Windows key, which is very important, and actually understanding the differences between the two UIs. So what you're looking at now, this is the new modern UI, and this is pretty much where the eye candy goes on. But this is also where a lot of people just start to lose it. They don't understand how this works. So what you're looking at is tiles. And here's my mail tile. It'll give you a preview of the last email that came in. Here's my people's tile. When someone updates their status, it flips and shows me a status. Messaging is pretty much anything from MSN Messenger or Facebook. Here's my calendar. I have no upcoming events, so there's nothing to preview. Here's the weather, New York, and I think you get the drift on how it works. With some of the third-party apps, here's Hulu. And Hulu, this tile updates and it shows you what's new. When something hits your queue, the Skype tile will also tell you when you miss calls. This is my Western Digital tile, which I didn't discover till almost an hour ago. Apparently, Western Digital has an app for the Metro UI that'll actually it organizes everything on your external hard drive. I've got a terabyte drive, so it organizes some pictures, videos. I thought that was really cool. Interestingly enough, I have no idea how the hell that got installed, but it's there and it's cool. And you have the ability to also pin things that aren't exactly from the Metro world, the new UI world. So here you see I have a pin for Photoshop, and that doesn't have functionality like any of the other tiles that were actually made for the modern UI, but it's here nonetheless. So instead of it being a functional tile, it's more so just a shortcut, which is also cool. The second part of the UI is, and there's a tile for it here, is your desktop mode. This is what we call legacy, and this is the old desktop mode everyone's familiar with. You see, I have RDP running, I have Vegas running. These are all my old apps, different browsers. It's pretty much the same. So here's where it differs a little. Although it is the desktop that you're familiar with, when you go down in the left corner, you'll notice there's no start menu. And even though it says start, when you click start, it takes you straight back to the Metro UI. Now, this isn't something that's terribly different to what you're used to. And if you really think about why you use the start button, the start key in the lower left, it's just to get a list of applications, right? So if you click start, here's a list of layouts. Well, arguably it should point you to a list of all applications installed, but it doesn't. So the way you would get to all applications installed if you need be is right click anywhere on the desktop, anywhere in the blank area. You right click all apps. It's sort of buried, but I'll cover this a little later on, that right clicking functionality. And here's everything that's installed on my laptop. Also worth mention, if you click down on the lower left, start, Windows 8 is heavily indexed. So everything, the computer pretty much keeps track of everything that's been installed, that whatever it is. So let's say you wanted to pull up Photoshop, PHOTO. See how that just automatically filters things that start with PHOTO as I type, and then shop, and there it is. So a little hint. It's literally the same thing. And in Windows 7 and Vista, the index and start menu was pretty much the same thing. Not a lot of people took advantage of that as much as they should. It's nothing changed here. Now, the start key on your keyboard is something that, I would like people to really get used to, because that saves you a lot of time. And it actually helps with the usefulness in the UI. The start key is the Windows key, for those of you who don't know, it's usually between the Alt and the Control keys on the left side of your keyboard, right by the space. So you press that key, and there it is. There it is. And even if you're in the legacy UI, you can do things like press the Windows key and X, and you'll get a list of power commands. And so it's really useful if you wanna become efficient at using Windows 8 and these two UIs in harmony. You really got to get used to using the Start key. Now, the second the second major aspect of Windows 8 you need to get used to is your Charms menu. So, lower right hand corner, if you put the mouse down, and you'll see this menu pop up. So let's find a blank area so you can actually see it a little clearer. Lower right, and there it is. So the first one is your settings. This is devices. If you've got printers or any USB devices connected to it, it'll show up here. Start, pretty much, I don't know why it's there, but it's there. It brings you back to either UI. Then you've got share. Share is actually pretty cool. There's nothing to share right now. What can I pull up? There's Bing. So if I go to share, here's a list of options of where I can actually share that. So I can post it to Facebook, Twitter. I can send it to someone. The Facebook and Twitter actually reside within this email. I'm sorry, within this people's category here. I can share it on Twitter with the Twitter at Tweetro. Tweetro, is that how you pronounce that? And I can create a note in Evernote. Shout out to Evernote. Love Evernote. So the share functionality is something that I really like, and that's something that we saw in the newer version of OS and of Mac OS. I'm sorry. So I really appreciate the option, and this goes. It doesn't matter what application you're in. If you're in any of these, I don't have any installed here. I've got them on my tablet, but not here. If you're in a Metro app and you say you're in an RSS reader, you have the ability to share what you're actually looking, just like you would, like we pulled up in the Internet Explorer. So it's a function, and I expect a lot of developers to really, make uses of that, because a lot of people do share things on social networking and amongst their friends. So the last option is on the Charms bar is search. And like I mentioned before, everything on the computer is indexed. So when you hit search, these are all the things it's searching. It's searching across almost every app you've got installed. It's searching, okay, is it an app? And there's a list of apps. Is it a setting? Okay, what does it do? And is it a file? Now, although the search we hit here, we hit on the Charms and you type, you can just start typing. So you're sitting here and let's just type in Bing. There it is. We didn't even have to hit the start menu. So that's a little trick for you to get used to as well. It just makes things so much easier, so much faster. And I think you'll find the more you get used to just simply typing as opposed to processing, okay, I'm looking for a picture, so let me go to my photos. Simply just type in IMG. If I had any on here, it'd probably show up. And likewise for settings. So if you want to adjust the power, just type in power. Notice here on settings it pops up, hey, there's 9 options. There's a list of 9 returns. That could be what you're looking for to start with power. Boom, there it is. So the third is recent programs or application switching. Now, if you put your mouse in the top left corner, you're going to see a screenshot of what you did last. And you can keep going. You can go all the way back. For whatever you have open, this will cycle through them. It's really that simple. This mode doesn't quite work well if you take into account the legacy desktop. So here there's nowhere to go back between apps, simply because we have these icons here in the tray that represent what's open. But when you're in Metro mode, we don't have a list of some sort of a tray that will tell us what's open. So this is where this comes in handy. But we do have a tray. So if you notice, my mouse is in the top left corner. There's 1, 2, 3 almost opaque tiles right under it. Let's pull the mouse down. Boom. Look at that. That pops up, and this gives us a list of what was open. And if we right click on it, we have the ability to close the application. Let's close that. Let's close messaging. Let's go back to SkyDrive. It's really that simple. SkyDrive is not loading. Good job, SkyDrive. So here's a perfect example of how to close an app. If you ever need to close an application in Windows 8 under the new UI, put the mouse all the way to the top of the screen. You'll notice that little hand. Click and hold, and then start to drag. When you get all the way down, let it go. Boom. Application closed. It'll return home. Simple enough, right? Not much not fuss. It just works. Fourth, right-clicking functionality under the new UI. Now, let's look at the differences in the regular. This is our legacy OS. You right-click, you get options. You get a list of what you can do where you right-clicked in that target area. So if you open IE, what can we do here? Look at all these things. Okay. But notice that changes from what we can do on a desktop, right? It's pretty much the same basis here. So if we right-click anywhere on the desktop area, we get the only option we can do is view all applications installed. That's fine. Now, if we right-click on a tile, notice the options pop up that says, all right, what do you want to do? You can unpin this from the start menu. You can uninstall it. You can make it a smaller tile, or you can make it a larger tile. And if you want, you can turn off the live tiles. Now, I haven't played around much with turning off the live tiles. I'm not sure what it actually does, if it's any benefit to it. Maybe you just don't want to be annoyed. I can see something like the Hulu tile. Maybe I'll turn that off because I don't care to see whatever this is that is displaying right now. So it does have some uses. Now, let's pull up the IE in Metro. Here's where this right-clicking functionality is. You really need to get a grasp, a hold of how this works. Notice there's just one big screen. There's no address bar, there's no favorites, no tabs, nothing of the sort. But when you right-click, see that? Now we've got our address bar, we've got a list of open tabs. We can open a new one if we want. Here's my search history, here's our settings. You can pin whatever you're looking to. So the right-click is pretty much an option. It gives you additional functionality for wherever you are in the Metro UI. Likewise, we're in music. So let's right-click on music, see what we get. Look at that. These are the previously played buttons, which makes sense, right? Because we don't see them here. So you start to think to yourself, well, how am I supposed to actually play music and there's no play? There it is. You right-click and you've got your options. You got your playback options. Now, these are added functionalities, what I like to call them. If we go back on our charms bar and we go to settings, what you'll notice is each application has got their own settings or preferences under the charms menu. So when we go to preferences here's a list of all things Zoom. Right? So let's jump back to IE. Let's see if IE has any settings outside of functionality. Yep, there it is. Internet options. Clear as day. Zoom level, the flip ahead feature. This is pretty cool. It's just things are different. We're just used to clutter like this. And this is a bad example because the newer version of IE is really well thought out. But we're used to what looks ugly. Opera doesn't look that ugly. Mozilla neither. Photoshop, yes. Here's what we're used to. We're used to file, edit, tools, this, that. It's really something that's over complex, and it's just the way it's been for so many years. It's the norm. So when something comes along that's so easy, it throws you off, and that we can all understand that. But just keep in mind that there are two main options. You'll always have two options. You'll have extra functionality when you right-click, right? And then you'll have options for the application themselves, which will give you more. So, in essence, Windows 8 really isn't that difficult to navigate or to understand. And even so, the dual UI, right? It serves its purpose. I mean, okay, so here's my Outlook. I don't have Outlook open, right? Some people may argue, well, if I have a desktop PC or a real laptop, I don't want this Metro UI that we see. Well, on contrary, if you have your Outlook, Outlook is a very loaded program. I love Outlook. You know, it's something you get used to over the years. Here, I've got the exact same mail accounts that I have in my Outlook. The difference is, when I launch Outlook, I've got to go through each folder, each mail profile to check to see what's new. Here, I don't have to launch anything. I just get a snapshot and I see what's going on. I see what the last email was. That's golden to me because I don't always want to dig through programs to find out what's going on. You know, I want to do stuff at a glance. And the added functionality of the Metro is obviously the apps. Some of these apps, a lot of them are actually very beautiful, and it's nice to have the ability to have an app store on a Windows platform. Much like Apple introduced the App Store to their Apple OS, the Mac OS, and you get full screen apps and whatnot. This is pretty much the same thing, but we just get the addition of a UI on top of it. So it really isn't that big of a deal. Listen, hit me in the comments. Let me know how the tips helped. Let me know if there's something you're having an issue wrapping your brain around, and we'll talk it out. We'll work it out. The important thing to remember is things haven't changed that much. The concept of how things work is pretty much still the same. The way you do it changed maybe a little bit, but it's for the most part the same. All right? Peace.